What's up, everyone? In this Costco Complete ID review, I'm going to go over how this identity theft protection service stacks up in terms of the extent of its monitoring, in terms of how effective they are at threat resolution, and how cost effective they are when compared to the other identity theft protection services out there. So, if you are a Costco member and you're interested in getting a whole suite of digital safety features, not just identity theft protection, but things like a VPN, a password manager, a private browser, credit monitoring, credit scores, and even social media monitoring, then Complete ID offers quite a bit of that. But what I would say is that it is quite shallow on what it offers for dark web monitoring and what it actually finds in terms of personal identification monitoring. A little disappointed on that front. And if you're not a Costco member, then this is absolutely not the product for you because it is only available to people who are members of Costco. So if you do opt to sign up for Complete ID, if you use my link in the description of this video, I'll make sure that you get a discount if I have one available. Always worth giving that a try before you sign up. And if after this video you're not quite sold on Complete ID, I would highly recommend you check out an alternative product, Aura. I'll leave a link to their service in the description of this video as well. And they're definitely my favorite identity theft protection service of the 6 that I've used. And their depth of monitoring is quite a bit more extensive than what I found with Complete ID here. But without rambling on too long, let's just hop into what you get. I'm going to start with what I find is the most important section, and that is the identity theft monitoring section of Complete ID. And what is a little bit strange to me is that it's actually a little bit difficult to find. So under identity theft protection here, they have identity monitoring, monitoring services, digital privacy, neighborhood watch. And as we go into each of these sections here, we'll see that, well, it allows you to input your information. Okay. Not quite what I'm looking for. Monitoring services. Okay, well, this is what they monitor. That's all great. We'll come back to this in a second. What about digital privacy? Okay, so they give me links to download their software that I mentioned earlier. In neighborhood watch. Okay, so some interesting stuff going on here. I can open this neighborhood watch report, but I'll come back to that in a second. The main point being, if you want to find their dark web surveillance report, it's actually in the alert center here. Not sort of in the intuitive place. And sadly, when you open this report, it looks like they found 3 instances where my phone number was compromised. And these look legitimate, I would say, and they're not findings that I necessarily found on other identity theft monitoring services. However, what I will say is that there's only 3 here. And I know that my login credentials have been linked at a number of sources I've used, from the other 5 identity theft protection services I've used. I know there are quite a few that they should be finding with my email addresses, and they're simply not. So Aura, for example, found 17. Identity Guard found 17. One of the other, either ID Shield or Identity Force, found 19. And even LifeLock coming in low, they found 7. But still, this is definitely the lowest I've seen in terms of them actually turning up my leaked information on the dark web. So I was quite disappointed with that, unfortunately, from Complete ID. But what else do they offer? Well, they have an alternative loan monitoring report. They didn't find any signs of possible theft there. They have a credit report where they give me my 3 bureau credit scores, which is more than you'll find with the baseline packages of a lot of these identity theft protection services. LifeLock, for example, you're not going to get this unless you use their top tier plan, and they do have access to the full credit report here. So 3 bureaus, very nice. They do have this neighborhood watch report. So if you're concerned about sex offenders in your area, or if there are other that happens to be what's showing up for me. But if there are other sort of notifications or alerts relevant to your neighborhood, I'm sure they'd show up there. And they have an Ssn monitoring report to basically any records that are showing up in association with your social security number. And, if people are using that to get new credit cards, rent apartments, they list a few things out here. But basically use your social security number to rack up debts and those types of things. So there were some instances in there. None of those were really aliases of mine. Those were all me, what they found. So nothing of concern for me. So in terms of what they allow you to monitor, let's come back here. So under the identity protection section, that's where we'll find that. They allow you to add some personal information, and they allow you to add some financial information. And basically, the more of this that you provide, the more thorough the service is going to scan the dark web looking for all the different information that you put in. So far, I just have some email addresses, my SSN, my phone number. I could add my driver's license, passport numbers, medical ID numbers, and there are some more things that I could add, I think. So, credit cards, bank accounts, retailer membership cards, phone numbers. I think the rest I've already mentioned. So another thing I found a bit limiting about this is they only allow you to monitor 4 email addresses, which is really quite low. Like, I'm definitely not monitoring all of my email addresses here, and all of the other services I used allow you to monitor more. Even LifeLock, which limits it at 5, which was still not enough for me, offers more than Complete ID does here. So I was a little bit disappointed in that regard. You can also add, so I mentioned earlier, you can add credit, debit cards, you can add bank accounts, retail or membership cards. If those get leaked on the internet, you'll hopefully get a notification as well, although I'm not entirely sure because I'm not seeing that in my alerts here for, leaked credentials that I expect to be there associated with my email addresses. So again, a little bit disappointed in that regard with Costco Complete ID. But what else do they offer? So they do give you Vantage scores from 3 bureaus, which is nice, and you can see them plotted over time, so you can see how changes are happening as you try to work to improve your credit, or if you're making decisions that are adversely affecting your credit. Maybe you can see, okay, well, I went down this month. What happened? How can I avoid that in the future? And you do get that from all 3 bureaus, which is very nice, as I mentioned. And they do tell you sort of the factors that are impacting your score, holding it back from being as good as it can possibly be. And it does say that they offer credit reports, so I should be able to get one. Yeah, so now it is, the full report is available now. Earlier it wasn't, and that was but I think it was just a matter of time. So you can print off your credit report here. Very nice. So excellent. So they also have a digital privacy section online, which I mentioned earlier. They have a VPN, a password manager, and a safe browser that you can use. These are all made by this service themselves. It's called Secure VPN or Secure Password Manager or Secure Browser. And basically, these are all branded by Complete ID. They're in-house solutions. If this is something that you're really interested, I'd recommend getting sort of a specialized application rather than something offered by Complete ID, but it is there. It's a nice benefit if you would like it. Down here, they just go into all the different sort of offerings that are included with your plan, kind of explaining them in a bit more detail. One thing I didn't mention is they do offer this Experian credit lock, which is nice. You can, just with the click of a button, lock your credit file from unwanted inquiries, because repeat inquiries do lower your credit score over time. And it's also, something that could, in the wrong hands, lead to further problems with your identity. So a credit lock is nice. With just a click of a button, your report is locked from unwanted inquiries. And, the alternative to that is actually going over to each of these bureaus independently and setting up a freeze, which works just fine, but is a little bit more cumbersome than simply clicking a button. This is something that you get with a lot of identity theft protection services these days. So in terms of digital privacy, so they do have this neighborhood watch report as well, which is interesting. And yeah, I got sort of the same data over in the alerts section, but this is sex offender information, which you can just get online, and those are the only results that are coming up in my area. But I'm sure if there were other public records in that regard, you would be able to see them as well. And last but not least, they do allow you to monitor your social media accounts. So if your reputation is at risk from the content you're posting or sharing, they'll give you notification in that regard. So whether that's something within your control or if it's out of your control because someone has hacked your account, that's, you can at least keep tabs on it here. A nice feature that's not necessarily included in all identity theft protection plans out there. So I would say Complete ID definitely has some stuff to offer in terms of monitoring. Really would like to see it perform better in terms of what it found for my information on the dark web. But, that is what it is. It does offer these other nice things. Does that make it absolutely useless? No. Do I think you'd probably be better off with a different service? Yes. Again, I'd recommend you check out Aura, and I have a link for that down below. But in terms of threat resolution, what do these guys offer? Well, should you run into any trouble, they're definitely there to help you. They give you this number to call if you feel that you may be a victim of identity theft. They have a full service restoration department should you run into any trouble. They are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I did call them up quite early this morning because I had a question about my account, and they were there. Definitely, it's a US based team. It seems to be out of Texas, and very friendly, very helpful, very thorough in their responses. Was quite happy with them. And they do mention that all of their staff are certified identity theft risk management specialists and Fair Credit Reporting Act, Fair Accurate Transactions Act certified. So these people do have some chops behind them. It's not, not just like a call center overseas like you'd get with LifeLock, where you really feel like they have no idea what's going on with your particular situation. These guys really seemed quite in tune with who I am, what I was concerned about. They do offer identity theft insurance, and it's underwritten by a company in Florida, so American Bankers Insurance. They offer up to $1 million with a $0 deductible for any expenses associated with your identity theft recovery, should you get that far. Hopefully you don't, and that you can see what that applies to here. They also have assistance, like if you're to lose your wallet, they'll help you to basically cancel anything in your wallet, including credit cards, debit cards, checks, driver's license, social security cards, insurance cards, on and on and on. So that's a nice service as well, because we've all been there. I'm sure if you haven't, you're lucky, and hopefully that doesn't happen to you anytime soon. But it is a nightmare when you do lose your wallet. So nice that they have your back there. So last but not least, when it comes down to how much these guys cost. So if you're an executive member, it's $9 a month. But for regular Costco members like myself, it's $13.99 per month. And, what you're getting, we just went over, but you get dark web surveillance, you get the VPN, password manager, safe browser. You do get, everything that we just went over. And I would say it's not completely worthless. Again, if you don't have a Costco membership, I would definitely recommend going somewhere else. But even at $13.99 per month, I would recommend you check out Aura. Their baseline plan, $15 per month, so $1 more per month when billed monthly, and you save a bit more if you bill that annually. It's only $12. And you're getting $1 million in identity theft insurance with them. You're getting a VPN password manager. You're getting antivirus software with them. You're getting a white glove resolution service. But more importantly, with Aura, you're getting very, very thorough monitoring. Again, these guys found 17 instances of my information being leaked on the dark web, whereas Costco's Complete ID found only 3, which I was quite disappointed in. And if you use my link in the description below, this price can actually come down even more, and you could save up to 50% on Aura, especially if you don't have a Costco membership. In terms of pricing, I would highly recommend you check out these guys. So at any rate, that's my review of Costco's Complete ID. It is, a part of Experian, one of the major credit bureaus out there. So may not be, it's one of the least thorough identity monitoring services out there in terms of what it finds on the dark web. It's not without its perks. There's definitely some value to it. But again, I'd recommend you check out Aura if you're really interested into a service with a really thorough and robust personal information monitoring system. And if you're interested in learning a bit about Aura at the same time, make sure to check out my Aura review right here on this channel.